How quickly the tables turn. Andy T finds himself gapping Seppa after Zandvoort and with a realistic shot at the championship. But while qualifying looked important last week in the Netherlands, it's going to be just as big here in Spain. Barcelona tends to reward track position handsomely, so let's see who nabs it as we get ready to watch round 9 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ryan Walker. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The home for Formula One racing in Spain for 3 decades now, this track is undoubtedly familiar to many. Just in case we have viewers who don't know their way around yet, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Circuit de Barcelona. The home of the Spanish Grand Prix for nearly 30 years, it's easy to forget that this is a relatively recently built track in Europe. It's known for its long, sweeping corners and hosts the highest level of open wheel and motorcycle racing. Placing an emphasis on a good aerodynamic setup with high downforce cars, it's often overlooked that it offers plenty of overtaking for lower tier racing as well. In fact, most don't take into account that this adaptable track has 5 different layouts to choose from. These range from the nearly 3-mile long Grand Prix version to the minuscule 1-mile club circuit. Because of the pit straight being the longest acceleration zone, Elf is the most likely spot for drivers to get a pass done. After that, your next hope might be into La Caixa, which, depending on which layout you use, could be a sharpened set of 2 turns or one long hairpin with an opening radius. In the early 2000s, a chicane was added close to the end of the lap, but the old Europe car corner can still be run. The Spanish fans have some gorgeous views from the many hills dotted along the track. And with the international fame this place has built over time, it's no wonder they're almost always full come race day. Well, while modern F1 seems to thrive here with all the downforce they've added to them, I suspect, Ryan, that these cars should probably suit this place pretty well too.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the ground effects and the load of downforce they can generate. Today these cars will be racing around the classic layout of Barcelona. The track is 2.94 miles in length, and the nature of this track is basically most of it is straights, but you've got some medium speed corners and high speed corners and slow speed corners. So today, don't be surprised if you see some drivers maybe going with a high downforce setup rather, for some of the high speed corners, and maybe some other drivers going with a low downforce setup for the straights to try and maybe just keep track position. But Barcelona's not really been known for producing great racing in the past, but I think with the classic Lotus 79 series today, I think we should be in for a cracker.
Yep. Here's hoping that we'll get an interesting one out there today. Now, talking about the championship, as I mentioned, Andy T with a huge gap now, but I believe that'll be brought down once they start calculating some of the drop weeks. Seppa and Rina are not too far apart from one another before you get another little bit of a gap back down to 4th. Vadio Congas running kind of on his lonesome. And then Freak Tenkate, who has had some speed, but not the consistency and hasn't been at every round, unfortunately, is down in 5th place. What about the teams championship that makes up the classic teams championship here in this series?
So yeah, at the moment the team standings is being led by the Scuderia Ferrari team of Seppa, Vania Cangas, and Rotkrans at the moment. But they're not too far behind in second place. You've got the Equip Renault Elf team with Vascalampi, T, and Pasillas in second, with the top 3 being rounded out by the Essex strong player Team Lotus, with Simon Partanen and Tuelis in third, with 4th going to the Arrows Better Racing team, with Fritza, Dieterk, and Herna in 4th, and rounding out the top 5 is a Tyrrell team of Kaniski, West, and Williams.
And if we have viewers that have not watched this series before, here's our race details just in case. We've got 32 laps in store today. It is open setup in this series, but of course, drivers do share that pretty willingly with one another just to make sure that newcomers can get up to speed pretty quickly. They have incident limits in this series, which includes a drive-through at 17. Now, this is a modern F1 track, so there's some paved runoff in places, and they are susceptible to racking those up pretty quickly. If they hit 25, they'll actually be disqualified and out of the race instantly. Right now, we've got qualifying underway, but we're waiting for our first times to get in here, Ryan. And as I was saying in the intro, I suspect that this qualifying session is going to be crucial to the race itself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because Barcelona, sometimes some parts of the track, it's a bit difficult to make a move. So getting a good start off the line, heading down to turn one, and getting some good track position earlier on in the race is going to be crucial. But also got this track as well. But you've got some places you can make a move. You've got turn one, you've got turn four, you've got turn seven, and turn 10. Turn 10 being the famous Lacaxa corner. So don't be surprised if you see some moves happening on that section of the track.
Ngate takes provisional pole as we wait for some of our other fast runners to come through. Oscar Urena up into second place, and it is very tight. Look at this. We have just barely a tenth separating the top three right now, Ryan.
Yeah, just proof that how close the series can be. And at the moment, it's Freak Tenka in pole position and Marco Kella in second, not only a few thousands off pole position. And like you say, it's really, really close up at the front.
An eye on Gernot Frische as well. And we're waiting on Tomasz Simon and Andy T to put a time in. This is Gernot right now, heading through the final few corners up to Bank Sabadell, who's been not as great in qualifying in this season, the past two seasons really, but has at times found himself to at least be competitive in the race. So might not be the best today. As Marco Kela up into second. Scotty Urena, his second lap across, is going to take that second place away, put himself back on the front row. Frische up to fourth and then bumped down to fifth as Andy T now finds himself next to Freak.
Yeah, it was a good lap by Andy T, and yeah, he was really unlucky at Zandvoort, Andy, because he was having a great battle in the closing stages at Zandvoort, and unfortunately got caught up in an incident with Oscar Ronnie and Thomas Simon as well.
And Simon just took the pole away. We're waiting for a second lap from a few drivers that could still snatch this. Looks like, unfortunately, Andy T not going to be one of them as he has abandoned that second lap now. Marco is down and across the line. It's a 28.524, and that's going to put him back up to the top spot. We have only a tenth of a second from first to sixth, and even down to seventh place. It is just barely over a tenth, 0.116 down to Severi Seppa. This is going to be intense if they're going to be that close in pace, trying to pass one another.
Yeah, absolutely, especially Barcelona. And that you've got, like I say, you've got some straights, so that this could play a factor in this race. And it's really, really close in the field, and also the strength of field as well for today's race is 3,814. So a reasonably high strength of field as well.
Coming across for his second lap. And it's not an improvement, so he'll stay in sixth place. Last one to put a time in is going to be Laust Olsen, who you see on screen right now, the number 16. Unfortunately had an off on his first lap. He's very wide there coming out of Europe car. Is this one even going to count for him, or is he going to be forced to start from the very back of the fields? It is going to count. It's a 30.5. That's only going to bump him up to 19th, so it gave him a single spot, but at least that is something. And that is the entirety of our field today. Let's go through our starting order. Marco Kela is going to be on the pole position with Tomas Simon in second place. Freakton Kate gets shuffled down to third after temporarily being on the top spot. Andy T starting in P4. Oscar Urena will be P5, followed by Gernot Frische in 6, and Severi Seppa, the second in the championship, chasing Andy T, behind him by a few spots here, starting in 6. Etu Vanio Congas, 7th for Seppa. Etu Vanio Congas starts in 8th with Steve Bycroft in P9, and Carl Villeneuve will be rounding out your top 10.
Starting in 11th is Michael de Turk with Peter Kaniski in 12th, Paul J. Lowndes in 13th with the Norwegian Ove Trengrade in 14th, Dennis Shannon in 15th, 16th is Julian Floret, 17th is Barry West, Timothy Reid in 18th, 19th is Laust Olsen, and rounding out the grid is Dennis Goodgear.
So 20 cars, and we do have a split today. For those not familiar with iRacing, they have a maximum amount of cars that can take part in a race. And beyond that, they split them into two separate races that happen simultaneously, separated by what is called their iRating, which is a little method that iRacing uses to rate drivers' overall speed, not one lap pace, but how good they are all around as a driver. This is the best of the best that's racing here today as they now start to grid up, and we'll wait for a moment as the drivers place themselves out there. We see a couple drivers talking in the text chat, Ryan, about the importance of getting off the line here. Do you think that's going to be decisive, not just this qualifying, but being able to get themselves with the power down and get to that first corner first?
I think so. It's just a matter of the trap position as well. You want to try and maybe just gain some trap position early, because I think with the field being so close, I think it'll be difficult to make a move. But we'll wait and see what happens. But I think getting off the line for sure is going to be a big help.
And you can see we're just waiting on a couple more to find their way out here to this Spanish track. Then we'll go racing for 32 laps here in round 9 of the Sunday Grand Prix series. Championship is very much still on the line. Our pole sitter gets himself out onto the grid, waiting for Freisha as well as Olsen and Fleuret. Front row now out there as Simone joins Marco. Looks like Olsen's going to be the last one to put himself ready, unless he's starting from the pit lane, which would be unusual. There we go. Now he's got himself out there. So with that, the engines start to rev. The lights come up. Green flag is out. Off the line. Marco not looking good at all. Already getting swamped as Simone manages to get up to the lead. Behind him, second place, Frickton Kate moves himself past our pole sitter. So does Andy T, looking for third place. Oh, and he comes together with his teammate. Marco, unfortunately, bumped off track, and then as he comes back on, he gets collected with more cars who are off into the gravel. We're going to come back to that replay. Our pole sitter finds a nightmare scenario for the beginning of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have to say though, Frickton Kate, he had that absolute brilliant launch off the line and managed to get up into second place into turn 1. And yeah, he's under attack though, and for a couple of cars. I thought it was going to end up in contact.
There was contact between T and Freak, but they managed to get away with it. That was down through Repsol. So Freak demoted to third with a brave dive by Andy into Seat. Ascarirena behind them in the McLaren, seeing if he can maybe take advantage of this as well. But the man who is enjoying this the most is Tomasz Simon, who's almost a second ahead. And they swing themselves into Lakaja for the first time. Big battle between third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, including the Turk and Freisha.
Yeah, absolutely. Close together at the moment as they head down into the final couple of corners to complete the end of the first lap. And yeah, it's just a shame about that mayhem in turn 1, but it's the risk you take with it being so close into turn 1 with the pack.
Kate is going to be under threat from Rinne, who manages to get to the inside. There you can see him with the desired line down into the first corner for the second time in this race. Can he outbrake him, though? We might see Freak try and fight back. No, he has to give it up. Now he's demoted down to fourth. Rinne onto the podium with Simone leading and T giving chase.
Yep, absolutely. Andy T just sitting there as well in second place, trying to catch the leader. But apart from that, it all seems to be relatively calm so far.
Look at the replay of this start. See if we can dissect what happened in there. We, of course, saw the contact between Marco. You're going to see the two Renaults come together. And then when Marco comes back on track, I believe he'll get in front of Seppa, which is horrible news for Severdy, who's now way down the order. Yeah, that's him in the red car. And then the one that spins gets hit from behind. That's Vanio Congas. And Steve Bycroft is the one that gets into him. This is the view from Seppa. Is he going to be able to even see him coming? He does, but he just doesn't expect him to come back on track that quickly, and the car is severely damaged As we come back live now, Seppa up to 17th, but way off the pace. Look at this.
Yeah, and you don't want your aerodynamics to badly damaged around the track such as Barcelona, because that'll just absolutely destroy your straight line speed. And yeah, unfortunately, Severi's finding that out the hard way.
Looking at Andy T now, still leading Rinna. Behind them, a little bit of a battle still between Frisha, and De Turk. That is for 4th place. I think I saw Steve Bycroft just make a move as well. May have just gotten that 11th place past Barry West. So there are drivers that are finding it possible to manage to get by, just not very easily. We're looking at Freak now as he leads the pair behind him, Frisha and De Turk.
Yep, and Tenkate and Frixa had a great battle in the closing stages at Zandvoort, and it looks like they're about to continue on it here this afternoon.
Campsa starting to separate just a little bit. Wonder if this is the aero wake starting to really prevent cars from being able to follow closely among one another. Been a recurring problem amongst cars at a track like this. Very early in the race. Rinna, though, actually doing fairly well about closing in on Andy T. You can see him flash across the screen there each moment. Let's see if he can get up to him on the front stretch where most of the cars try to attempt their passes. He's there or thereabouts, but doesn't look like he's going to be able to attack.
Yeah, he's not close enough. I think he just needs to try and get a better run on the exit of the final corner and just try and carry a bit more momentum. And yeah, he's getting closer, but just not close enough at the moment. And yeah, I have to agree that if it looks like Oscari is close enough, but maybe that aero push is just hindering him a little bit.
A change for 15th position. Timothy Reed just overtaking Julien Fleuret and the number 9 car. And that's going to move him up 1. Next on his list will be Daniel Goodger, excuse me. On board with Rinna as he continues to chase our championship leader. So right now, Rinna is actually the biggest threat to Andy. He's in 3rd in the championship, although he's also a fair few points behind. But obviously he doesn't want to give away any more than he needs to.
Yeah, absolutely not. We've sitting 3rd in the championship, but he's still in with a chance as he come to the end of the season. So yeah, I think Oscari just needs to try and stay with Vandy at the moment and just not lose him.
Around to complete lap 4. We've only lost 2 cars, even though we had quite a few involved in that opening incident. Kayla and Vanio Congas have DNF'd. I wonder if Seppa is going to give up the ghost eventually as well, the way that he is already well behind the rest of the field. I think he has managed to catch at least 1 car, Dennis Shanning, who he's trying to see if he can overtake. The reason we keep talking about Seppa, for those who are just tuning in, is Severi is 2nd in the championship and lost a lot of points last week and is set to lose even more yet again today. There you see him on screen. And he's, oh man, he is so much slower in a straight line than Shanning here.
They've got a battle going on for P7 at the moment, but it looks like Paul Williams and Ovi Trengrid at the moment, and also the Canadian Carl Villeneuve involved.
They come through Seat. Trengrid stuck in the mid-pack here. Sure, he'd love to get back up towards the front for another good finish as he trails down through Vert and up towards Campsa, one of the fastest corners on the track. He's able to hold station, not lose too much time. Still, this doesn't look close enough, about 2/10 behind the number 18 car. Brakes heavy into the corner and gains a ton of time, still not able to attack.
Yeah, I think Trengrid's best chances on the exit of the final corner. If he gets a great run, he might be able to make a move on Williams, head down the home straight, as it looks like Trengrid's reasonably close, but I don't think he's close enough.
It doesn't look like he's got the oomph there coming off of New Holland. He's going to need probably a little bit of a mistake out of Williams to truly get an opportunity, but look at Paul weave a little bit there trying to break the draft somewhat. And I think he wants to get away and relieve some of this pressure from behind so that he can focus forward. De Turk is distancing him. It's about 2.2 seconds to the car ahead from Williams.
Yep, so pretty much Michael's on his own at the moment, and it's these three guys battling for 7th place at the moment. And over training grade again closes up slightly under braking, but I think it seems to be Paul's just got that edge when he gets to corner exit, but in the final sector, Ovi's just seemed to close up ever so slightly.
It is pretty ideal conditions here today. We should mention 73 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface, so they're not slipping and sliding around too much out here. 23 Celsius for those who use metric, and very little wind as well. The downside is, I guess that makes it easier to avoid mistakes, which is going to make the passing all the harder.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing. It looks like we've got Peter Kaniski and Stephen Bycroft, as Bycroft has got by Peter Kaniski actually.
Let's get a replay on this one. Bycroft set this one up perfectly coming out of Campsa. Oh, we backed up. Well, actually, no, it started way back here, it appears. And then it carried on for quite a while, side by side in the first corner. He's going to get by, and I guess Peter must have re-attacked back because Bycroft then finished the overtake. Oh, and we've gone back again. So, unfortunately, we won't be able to see it as... no, we've come back live. So Bycroft up to 10th from that one, and I believe we've lost Laust Olsen. Laust Olsen with a highly unusual spin. I think Laust Olsen had a hardware failure. He's lost it on the main straight and gave a big scare to the number 20, Dennis Shaning.
Yeah, that was
almost ran into him. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say I saw the same thing and I thought it was a bit weird, but it looked like a hardware failure for sure, and it's never something you want around here, especially on a straight, because just in case there's any other drivers behind you.
Okay, we've come back to the battle here, just behind Freesia and De Turk as well. Paul Williams ahead of Trangarade and Villeneuve. Now, Bycroft able to make a move there to get himself into 10th, and he's slowly creeping up on the back of these cars. And I believe you got some info, Ryan, on what happened to Laust?
Yeah, Laust Olsen, I just checked on the chat. He said that he got a screen freeze, so yeah, that was very unfortunate for him. So it was basically just something that was out of his control.
Glad that he didn't hit anybody in the end, because that is always kind of a worst nightmare, and that happens not sure where you are and if you're getting close to running into another car. Now, up the front, Rena is within 0.7 of a second on Andy T, but they've been dropping behind Shimon. It's about 2.1 seconds up to our leader currently. Tomasz with really good pace today. You know, it does look like Freak might actually be able to get involved with this as well. He's about 1.1 seconds back. Let's see, what was his last lap? A 31.1. Rena with a 31 flat. So just a 10th slower. It's not too drastic. Of course, if Ascardi and Andy start fighting, Ryan, then that'll be great news for Freak.
Yeah, absolutely. And Freak's just slightly dropped Gernot Fritza as well, so but Fritza's still just hanging in there. So Ascari, he might not need to keep an eye on Freak. He actually might have to keep an eye on Gernot as well. So yeah, that's a battle that might start spicing up really soon.
Come down the front stretch. Oh, and Andy T is trying to break that draft a little bit, weaving across the track, seeing if he can get him out of his slipstream, as that pulls Ascari into within 0.6 of a second. So not quite a danger, but it's obvious why he wants to try and keep him from making any more inroads than he needs to. It is still close back between Williams, Trangarade, and Villeneuve. It's down to 0.2 of a second at times between this trio. Last time by, though, with Bycroft at 31.1. Villeneuve at 31.2. So I do believe the yellow car is looking to make it a quartet soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Bycroft he's just been closing up on these guys lap by lap, and I'm just watching on my screen at the moment. They're just in front of him ever so slightly, but Bycroft, he's looking to join the party.
Right on board with the helmet cam. Looking actually very, very smooth. A little bit off the apex there, but not a lot of sawing away at the wheel here in this car. Wow, look at how tight they're getting up amongst those three, though. Trangarade was right on the gearbox of Paul Williams. Yeah, incredible inputs here for Steve Bycroft. There's just everything is so calm and collected.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing with this car that you can't really afford to do is overdrive it or wrestle it. It's kind of this car seems to reward smoothness, and at the moment, Steve Bycroft is being rewarded with that smoothness.
1/10 faster than Villeneuve yet again for Steve Bycroft. He's coming. It's more like a question of when rather than if amongst them. And so far, Steve, we've seen make up 2 positions during the race, other than at the start of it. I suspect that he's figured out how to try and make these overtakes here. He actually began the race in 9th, and he's down to 10th. So he lost some spots at the very beginning and is now making his way back through. The train also closing in on Michael de Turk. Last time by, de Turk with a 31.6. Williams with a 31.5. It's all coming together, quite literally.
Yeah, and this train is starting to build up. You've got de Turk and Williams behind, and Trangrade and Villeneuve and Bycroft. So yeah, should be having a bit of a train very soon. But yeah, apart from that, this seems to be the closest battle on track at the moment.
Through Europe car. You never really, it doesn't show on screen as well, but there is quite a bit of elevation change around this track. Ooh, and Trangarade strong into the corner. Is this going to compromise his exit? No, he holds it well. Thought for sure he sent that in way too hot, and maybe we'd see Villeneuve with an opportunity. Actually, it seems Trangarade gets very close to the back of Paul Williams, but runs out of straightaway. This time by for Bycroft, 31.1. Compare that with Villeneuve, a 31.3, 2/10 faster this time.
Yeah, so yeah, most of these guys are match seats are for pace by the looks of it, but still Steve Bycroft is closing right onto the back of Carl Villeneuve at the moment, and this train is just starting to get bigger and bigger.
Got 5 of them together potentially. What about between Williams and de Turk? De Turk with a 31.6 and a 31.6 for Williams. So just about even on that time by. The thing that I'm sure is nerve-wracking for these drivers, Ryan, is if they do become a train of 5, all of them know that one mistake from any one of them is going to cost not just one position, but multiple.
Yeah, absolutely, especially around this track. And yeah, if someone makes a mistake and someone's in front of them, sometimes you have nowhere to go, but yeah, just basically into them because you've got no time to react.
To complete yet another lap around. Let's see what it's going to be this time by as de Turk hits the timing line. It's going to be a 31.7 and a 31.3, half a second quicker for Paul Williams this time through. He's under threat though. Trangarade got a great run. He gets to within 2 car lengths, but can't quite get any closer. In the case of Villeneuve and Bycroft, it is 3/10 quicker, and Bycroft has arrived at this point. It is now definitely a train of 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, pretty much hard to separate these drivers, but over Trangrade, every time he gets a run on Paul Williams, he just can't do anything about it because he just basically runs out straight, or just he's not close enough to make a move.
So put yourself in the shoes of some of these drivers, Ryan. Would you try and start doing some stuff to get in the head of the driver, or would you just try and sit there and stay patient? Because in the past, sometimes we've seen them, duck out and maybe try and get psychological, but doesn't seem to be much right now.
It's a difficult question, but it is yeah. It looks like Trengade's he was attacking Paul Williams, but he's been attacked from Carl Veernev, so he's stuck in a bit of a sandwich at the moment. But yeah, to answer your question, I think I'll just stay where I am, but just maybe sneak out and just show I'm there, but not do anything too silly like a dive bomb or a lounge, but just maybe just plan what I'm going to do.
This is the battle for P6, being led by Turk. Williams 7th, Trangarade 8th, 9th Villeneuve, and 10th to Bycroft. Much of the upper field decided by this battle, and Williams is gaining, does take a look, makes Turk look into his mirrors, but isn't able to overtake. In fact, it looks like he lost a little bit of time with that maneuver.
Yeah, he did, and sometimes if you try and make a move or go offline into turn 1 and turn 2, it compromises your exit, and it kind of compromises your setup into turn 3, the long right-hander. Unfortunately, Paul done that, but he's not lost too much time to Michael in front of him.
According together down through Seat, plunge down the hill towards Vert. One of the easier corners to try and make a mistake into. Everybody's through smooth, but Williams sliding around a little bit, and Trangarade knows it. Look at how close Trangarade is behind the blue and white machine, the number 18. He's going to stay defensive this time, not going to allow the Norwegian an opportunity. And as they swing it into Lakaja, it's starting to look like some of them are getting antsy.
Yep, and Carl Veernev closed right up in the back of Trangarade under braking as well, and I thought he was going to make a move, but he didn't do anything. He's come up into the home straight now, and this is probably the closest that each of them have been before, and Trangarade is closer to Williams than he has been before, and he's got a great run.
Can he get close enough? That's the question. Good straight line speed for Williams, though. And Williams is going to have a go at it. He takes a look at Turk for the second time in a row, and for the second time in a row, Turk says no. If he keeps opening that door, though, Trangarade is not going to stand idly by. I have a feeling that we'll see the Scandinavian driver make a dive.
Yeah, and Paul Williams is getting frustrated a little bit now by the looks of it. He's pulled out offline a couple of times, showing Michael Turk he's there, but he can't make a move. But Paul Williams, you can't afford to get too aggressive or make a mistake, because over Trangarade is waiting in the wings, just like Carl Veernev and Steve Bycroft.
A halfway point now. We're not missing anything up front. Shimon continues to pull away bit by bit over Andy T. It's up to 3 seconds now, with Rinna continuing to follow about a half a second behind. A little bit of a look from Villeneuve back there. You saw on the Brabham. Doesn't manage to execute on it, though. Surprised we haven't seen anything from Bycroft in this quite yet, since he seemed to be eager to make overtakes before.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that Bycroft has not been trying to make any moves. I think he's just maybe sitting there and planning what he's wanting to do, or maybe just sitting there to see how this battle pans out. But Bycroft as well moves across on the track to extend the slipstream, but he's not looking like he's eager to make a move straight away, as Trangarade again is close to Williams, heading down to turn 1.
And that change in direction down the straight was all kicked off by Turk, who was trying to break the slipstream from Williams. I wonder if Paul has a little less wing, like you were talking about earlier on, to allow him the run in the straight line. A little bit of a peak as well from Bycroft this time, heading into Repsol, so he's feeling like it's time to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Bycroft, I think he's decided that enough's enough. He can't wait, or he can't afford to wait around any longer. But again, Paul Williams pulls out and shows Michael Turkey's there, and I think Paul's on the low downforce time, because he was just pulling away. He was staying in front of Obi Trangarade down the home straight, and Trangarade, they just couldn't really do anything about it.
Williams has lost a lot of ground now, 0.5 of a second behind Michael. Credit to this number 15 car, managing to fend off everybody behind him. He started in 11th. He's up a few spots because of the opening lap wreck and into 6th. But it's always one thing to find yourself inheriting positions, but then retaining them can always be so much harder. And I tip my hat to Michael here, Ryan.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. He's doing a great defensive job as well. Just he's not being aggressive with defending. He's just placing the car where he has to, and just doing what he has to do to stay in front. But this train, it seems some of these guys seem to be slightly quicker than him. But credit to Michael, he's doing a good job managing to stay in front.
With a chance to try and overtake into Elf. So as they swing it through Renault, climbing upwards and upwards to one of the higher parts of the track, breaking into Repsol. Different lines for the drivers as well, and very wide on the exit for Paul Williams. Do you think maybe some of them trying to not necessarily make moves here, Ryan, but just get out of the wake of the car ahead, almost like an oval strategy?
As possible. I mean, some of these guys, as Williams runs slightly wide and compromises his exit, and over Trendy is close enough, and he carries that momentum onto this back straight. He's getting closer and goes. Trengard gets sideways.
He's got a shot. Will we see a defense from Williams? No, he's not going to cover him off. And no attack either from Ove Tranger. I thought for sure there'd be a chance once again, a little bit wide. As he lost the grip in those tires, has Williams been too close to the car ahead for too long now?
As possible as they come round to the final few corners now into New Holland, and I think that maybe low downforce setting for Williams might have just not destroyed his tires, but maybe just lost some grip and fall on another car like Michael in front of him. Has just maybe overheated his tires slightly. As again, over Trengade is closer, but he can't really do anything heading down to turn 1.
None of them are able to do anything. Once again, this has been a stalemate amongst our drivers, stuck in purgatory behind not Paul Williams, Michael de Turk rather, who isn't so benevolent so far amongst them, not willing to release any of them. And this train of 5 that has been stuck now for a good 10 laps.
Absolutely is able. Steve Bycroft, I thought he ran wide there for a minute, but he's just slightly locked up. But anyway, he's still in the train, and all these guys are close together. And again, I have to say, I have to take my hat off to Michael de Turk. He's doing an absolutely fantastic job. And so far, hopefully I don't jinx him, but he's not cracked under the pressure.
What if we could look for them from the gearbox of de Turk at this train? See what it looks like as they chase them. It really is just like ducklings and a line, essentially following everywhere he goes. And hearing a little bit of banter between Rina and Andy T, talking about incident points. Andy, it sounded like Oscar asking how many incidents he's got, and Andy responded, not enough for a 4X to put him out of the race. Now, I doubt that Rina would actually intentionally try to give him a drive-through. Still, odd bit of back and forth that I don't think I've heard before.
Yeah, I heard that as well. I have to admit, I did chuckle slightly when I heard that, but it's good to see a couple of drivers up at the front having a bit of banter between themselves, and as they still with looking at the battle for second place now between T and Runner, and Runner as well. I think he's just he's not trying to make a move straight away, just maybe planning out what he's going to do if he gets a run. But fair play to Andy as well. He's done a great job holding that position.
It is actually important for a Scotty to try and get by here, not just because of the points, but Rina has 2 missed weeks actually, where he's got zeros. So I believe is it 2 or 4 drop weeks? Let me double check on the points or on the rules here to see what they are allowed to drop. But it does put him under the gun because he can make fewer mistakes, and Andy is able to lose more points and have more poor races, or at least mediocre races, and still come away with a championship here. So this puts the impetus on the Finn to actually make something happen. He can't just kind of sit around and wait for the good results to rack up.
Yeah, absolutely not. He's just basically got to try and get as many good results as possible heading into the end of the season. But Andretti, they doing a good job in second, like I say, just holding that position well and managing to just have a bit of a gap between him and Rinne at the moment. But yeah, I'm still keeping my eyes on this battle between from 6th down to 10th at the moment.
Yeah, as we see them swing through. I love these long angles, especially out of the fast corners. You can see how much the cars do slide across the track, even with the downforce. And shows you how much they're wheeling these things. This battle, looks like Oscari is getting close from time to time. He gets it down to about 0.3 of a second occasionally. If he can get a run here, let's watch and stay with the front stretch. It's about 0.4 at the start of it. How much does he gain here as we ride on board? Watching my timer down to 0.3. Can he get down to 0.2 potentially? Just within 0.2. And then they have to brake. So this makes me wonder if he can get just a couple car lengths closer. Do you think it's on for the Finn to try and overtake the Brit?
It's more than possible. Oscari gets a little bit sketchy, but he manages to hold it. But yeah, I think it's more than possible if Oscari can get a good exit onto the home straight. He could possibly make a move on Andretti, as Andy in front of Oscari is getting a little bit untidy at times. So maybe starting to feel the pressure.
Any change amongst the group of 6th to 10th, and they're still very tightly packed together. So that remains the same. We haven't had too many overtakes in a while. Actually, we might get one with Dennis Schoening and Barry West, who are down in 13th. Schoening's going to try and go around the outside of Repsol. That'll give him the inside of Seat. Can he make this one stick? He does it. Nicely done by the number 20. Very rare that you can see cars hold the outside in Repsol.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great move, and he managed to keep the speed and hold the outside line as well, and managed to hold on and gain the position. That was a beautiful move.
I wonder if that was kicked off by Barry failing to make an overtake on Daniel Goodger, who is up in front of them. There you see him in the Brabham, the number 17. Because before, last we looked at Barry, he was trying to overtake on Daniel. So maybe something went wrong. Dennis saw an opportunity and snatched it up. For those following the championship situation, Seppa still down in 17th, and I think he has actually retired. Oh, and Villeneuve got overtaken. Bycroft finally made it stick. I don't think it's over yet, actually. Bycroft going to go around the outside of Trangrade potentially. He's looking for it. Trangrade defends. Going to make him continue the long way around. Can he repeat what we just saw? Schoening all over again. He's got the inside, but he doesn't have the overlap, given space at the apex, and Trangrade's going to deny him.
Yeah, Steve Bycroft. It all started on the exit of the final corner onto the home straight. Got the slipstream on Villeneuve and managed to get the move done. And next target in front of him is the Norwegian Ove Trangrade, who gets sideways.
Playing under the pressure, he immediately goes defensive. Bycroft seeing if he can do it into Lakaja, but he's not deep enough on the brakes. They're going to stay in order. Trangrade 8th, Bycroft 9th, Villeneuve in 10th. He's going to be very close down the front stretch if these stay how they are. So it's going to be a good shot. Oh, the wake is proving very tough for Steve. He's got a decent run, though, as they come over the crest and then down into Elf. He's gaining. Ove doesn't defend. He leaves the door open. Steve's got the inside. He breaks a little bit early. Ooh. And it's just not quite there. Successful defense from Ove.
Oh, fantastic racing between these two, and actually the three of them, because Villeneuve, fair play to him, he's managed to keep in touch with these guys, and it's a free car battle at the moment. But again, Trangrade goes to the inside to defend the line, and Bycroft, Bycroft gets sideways on the exit, or the middle of the corner, sorry.
And that's going to open it up for Villeneuve to try and get his spot back. Looks around the outside of Seat. This is going to be tough to complete. Almost banging wheels as they come off the corner. He's got a nose ahead, but is he on the outside into Vert, side by side, and they slow each other up tremendously. Still no one willing to give way, and finally, Carl Villeneuve backs out of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, those two scrapping amongst themselves, so has allowed Trengway to get away a little bit and build a bit of a breathing space.
To a Scotty Arena, because I think this is the closest he's been coming onto the front stretch. 0.3 of a second behind. He's gaining. This is his best shot yet. Does Andy T defend? He's drifting over. He's still got the door open. Gonna force him around the outside. Rinna breaking deep into the corner, and he gets it done. Many laps of trying, but the switchback could offer an opportunity. As Andy T using the grip the long way around, he fights back, looking to get it back into the second place, knowing that the championship is on the line here. They come side by side into Repsol now. Can Andy T fend him off in a beautiful move? Yes, he can. No, coming back at him. Rinna tries to duck down into Seat, but it just isn't meant to be. Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic racing between these two guys. Oh, that was, I thought I was going to end up in contact in turn one, but fair play to these guys. They gave themselves just enough room. And yeah, plenty of respect for these guys, but also in the background, if these guys keep scrapping amongst themselves, is Freak Tenkata, who'll be closing up on these guys if they keep going the way they are.
Just a little bit hot down into Lakaja. Only opens the door slightly for Ascari. But look at how close he's able to stay here. He's going to get another shot at this, I think. And he looks quite a bit closer. A big slide coming through Europe car from Andy T. He is incredibly susceptible. Does he cover him off this time, or is he going to let him through? No defense. He sees the writing on the wall. Rinna down to the inside. He could switch him back like last time, depending. As they come down into Elf. Is he looking for the exit? No, it's not there. And you're right. Freak Tenkate has closed down once again. It is 2.2 seconds. Excuse me, 0.8 of a second, rather, between Freak and Andy.
Yeah, and yeah, these two guys are still relatively close together for second and third. And that was a great move by Ascari, but I think Andy T just decided that there's no point fighting because he probably recognises that Ascari's a quicker driver, or maybe just hanging there, just planning what he's going to do, or see if he can stick with him.
Oh, he's trying, but the car seems to lack grip, as once again he has a slip up through Vert. Boy, Freak Tenkate now down to 0.7 of a second. Let's attack that battle for 6 now. Remember, Deturk stretched away momentarily, but Paul Williams has regained the time, and Ove Trangrade has also gotten to the back of them once more. Really, the only one that's falling off is Carl Villeneuve now that he's been overtaken by Bycroft.
Yep, and Steve Bycroft managed to close back up on the rear of Ove Trangrade. So again, we've got this battle from 6th down to 9th. And head down to the home straight now, and they're all close together again. But it just seems to be with the slipstream, or all these drivers being in a slipstream pack, if you like, there's no one's able to make a move. As again, they all move over, trying to stay in the slipstream.
Ahead of it all, Shimon just at the fastest lap of the race, basically doing his own thing and running away with it. He's up to 5 seconds ahead of everybody else. Yet again, we're seeing them gain, but not gain enough. As Paul Williams, is that a mistake from Michael? The door is open. Williams looks at it. He's not able to get his foot in.
And again, Michael's doing a great job defending. He's not letting the pressure get to him at the moment. And Paul Williams, I think he's getting frustrated because he knows he can get by, but Michael just doing what he needs to do.
Well, he thinks he can get by. The question is, can he actually execute? 18 actually still up for really good points today. Both Paul Williams and Michael Deturk. Deturk rated number 15 in this field and sitting in 6th, with Williams rated 18th and sitting 7th. As they come through the Kaija one more time. So expect both of those drivers to rack up some good iRating if they manage to finish where they are. Now it's Oscar Urina's turn. Now that he's got clear track in front of him, he's set the fastest lap of the race. Now, I don't think he's got enough time. There's 7 laps to go. It was a 29.7 for Rina last time through. It was a 29.9 for Shimon. So 0.2 faster, but he's 4.5 seconds behind. This seems like too little too late to me.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be able to do anything about it. I think it's basically Thomas Shimon just needs to keep it on the track, and he should, hopefully, all going well, have the win in the bag. But Oscar Ronnie is just absolutely wringing the neck out of in second place, just trying everything to try and pull away and try and catch the leader.
Bring Andy along too, because he is giving him a little bit of a slipstream, and Andy's remained within 0.6 of a second. Freakton Kate is still stuck there, 0.9 back. His slight charge has petered out, unfortunately. Let's head to Williams, because Trangrade once again showing himself to be close in this back half of the course. But is it close enough? He gets tantalizingly close there. Oh, and he's breaking deep down into Lakaija, almost making contact with the rear of Paul Williams into that hairpin. Just doesn't seem to be enough. Bycroft watching, hoping that one of those attempts will allow him to slip through.
Yeah, I think Steve Bycroft now, he can't really hang around too much. He's just basically, if he gets a sniff of a move, or he gets a chance to make a move, he's just got to go for it, as Trangrade pulls out from the slipstream just to show Williams that he's still there. But all three of these guys are really close together, heading down to turn 1, and Trangrade's closer to Williams, but again, just runs out of straight.
I don't know why he ducked out so early. I would have thought he would have stayed in that slipstream as long as possible. Well, regardless, like you said, none of them able to change their position. Down to 6 laps to go, and Michael de Turk still playing the defensive role to perfection.
Absolutely, and de Turk is just probably basically, as Trangrade closes right up and Williams under brake, and it just again just about goes into the back of him.
This is where it seems like every time, every lap, Trangrade is his strongest and Williams is his weakest. But look at this, just trying to stay behind him down through Campsa. He can't get the attack he needs.
Yeah, he's close, but he's just not getting close enough, as again all of them close up on each other on their braking. And yeah, it seems to be the best chance to make a move around here is on the home straight, but again, it's just this, because they're all stuck in a slipstream together. It's I would say the driver that can probably make a move for the slipstream is Trangrade, but it's always been the case so far. Just runs out of straight and runs out of time.
Here they go again. Oh, and once again, everybody bobbing and weaving, trying to hold on to the slipstream. I think Bycroft might have a good shot at things. Is he going to try and get to the inside? Yes, he is. Bycroft to the inside of Trangrade, who leaves the door open at the same time that Williams goes on to Turk. Side by side. Bycroft gets tipped around. That may have been a little bit of ghost contact and an unsuccessful attack for Williams as de Turk holds him off. Let's look at this one more time. The pressure built and built, Ryan, and it finally came to a head. Unfortunately for Bycroft, it ended poorly.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to Steve for having a go. He got the run and he was up the inside, but yeah, I think
ghost contact.
Yeah, just ghost contact, and it was just very, very unlucky.
That de Turk held off Williams. I wish we could have given that better coverage in the heat of the moment, as so caught up with Bycroft. But Williams now knows it's possible to at least get side by side. We're going to be 3 to go at the line. Actually, no, we're going to be 4 to go at the line, as Shimon has already crossed it and taken another fastest lap here. Well, this scrap has brought Villeneuve back into things. Can he hold on again and try and go on the attack? As Williams has got a very good run. He's going to look to the outside. Oh, a little bit of back and forth. He's going to get the overlap. And it's not going to be.
Yep, so again, so they're basically all as aware head on the exit of turn 1 and turn 2. But yeah, I'm enjoying this battle, and it's starting to really spice up.
Oh, a little bit of a look from Villeneuve now, as Uwe Trangerade is having to defend as well as attack. Up in front of these guys, worth mentioning, I did notice a little earlier, Gernot Frischa has been basically kind of been Mr. Anonymous, but quietly gathering another top 5. There you see him. He's gained a lot of time on Freakton Kate towards the end of the race, but it doesn't seem to be enough. We've seen how tough it is to try and overtake. And the distance between them does look a little too much unless we get a major mistake from the number 8 car.
Yeah, it just seems to be it's the case with Barcelona. You can catch someone, but getting by is another thing. And then with some of these drivers maybe using the same sort of downforce, if you like, it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Out of the main crate for our battle for 6 once again. I don't know about this one because the Turk looks like he's actually getting slower and slower to straight line. I wonder if he got a little bit of damage down and side by side between the Turk and Williams. And he's not able to get it done. Williams, though, seems to be opening up the door for Trangerade each time. And now he's got another opportunity for the first time down at a Repsol, and he's going to get the inside, slides out a little bit. They try to keep from coming together. This will give the inside to the Turk. Can he hold him off? And it all kicks off as Trangerade gets turned around. Both Konecki and Villeneuve will get by, each promoted up 1 spot.
Yep, and it was like I was saying before, if you're in a battle and you're behind, you don't have to make a move straight away. You can just plan it or just wait for people to have issues. And it looks like we've got a replay coming up.
All started when he managed to get the inside of Repsol, but then as the door was open, almost 3 wide into there, and poor Ove was the meat in the sandwich, and he slips out. Fortunately, the 5-second rule now means that he loses 5 seconds instead. As we head to our leader, 2 laps to go, 4.2 seconds. Rinne is gaining, and he's dropped T now. It's 1.5 seconds back to 3rd place. Rinne last lap through a 29.2 compared to Shimon with a 29.3. You have to think if Ascari had managed to pass a little bit sooner, we may have seen a fight for the lead.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, Rinne has been pretty much on fire since he got by Andretti, and I think if he was a lot closer to Simon, we would have had a 2-car battle. At least a 2-car battle for the win. But Thomas Simon has just pulled away, built a gap, and managed to maintain that gap, and he's pretty much been in command.
Get the white flag this time by. Starting on the front row, taking advantage of the poor start from our pole sitter, Marco Kela. And there it is, white flag for the number 3 car. One more time around with plenty of buffer behind. This also means one last shot for Paul Williams, who no longer has the pressure from Trangerade behind. It's come down to a 2-car fight. And there you see them on screen. The orange and white machine is Michael de Turk. The blue and white is Paul Williams. They come onto the front stretch. He's close. He might actually have a good shot here, but he's going to have to be very aggressive. He's tried it many times before, and none of them have stuck. Forced to the outside as Michael de Turk takes the apex away from him, or will he? Deep on the brakes, Paul Williams with a nose ahead, and he's got it done. It took him all race. He's got the lead that he needs, but he's got to fend off Michael de Turk from coming back at him. Will Michael re-attack? Coming up to Repsol, it doesn't look like it's there, though he takes a little bit of an early look.
Yeah, he thought about it. He was thinking about maybe just sneaking up the inside, but I think, yeah, looking at Paul now pulling away, I think Michael Duterre's got to keep an eye on now on him behind because he's got Virna behind.
Meanwhile, Shimon up at the front is going to take the win as he swings out of New Holland. Victory for Shimon here today in Spain, followed by Rinna, who seemed to have the pace, but he didn't have the track position. He'll finish second ahead of one of his championship rivals, Andy T, who still claims third. Oh, and we've had a wreck. De Turk is off and Carl Villeneuve is off. What happened here? I'm going to look at the replay. I think Villeneuve outbraked himself.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And Virna, yeah, he just outbraked himself and nudged the rear of Duterre. And oh, that was so unfortunate.
Oh, and so after all that, De Turk finds himself finishing in 10th position. That is absolutely gutting. If I'm honest, his performance deserved better. That certainly wasn't his fault at the end. As the rest of the cars cycle across the line, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so don't go away. Welcome back to Barcelona for round 9 here of the Sunday Grand Prix series. Tomas Simon takes another victory with Oscar Urena trying to chase him. Just didn't have enough time, and he has to settle for second place. Andy T was P3, so he's going to lose a little bit of ground to one of his rivals here, while Freak Tenkate finishes 4th today. Gernot Frisha, a bit of a boring race for him, I imagine, starting 6th and finishing 5th, and really not many people to battle all race long for him. Paul Williams, though, oh boy, what a battle he had all race long, and he had to get it on the very final lap to take 6th place, with Peter Koneski following him home in 7th, and Uwe Trangrade in P8. Steve Bycroft was 9th, and poor Michael De Turk, who was looking at a 6th place finish until that last lap, got overtaken and then wrecked, unfortunately, at the very end.
Yeah, Carl Virna finishing in 11th after being involved in that battle for most of the race. And 12th was Dennis Shannon. 13th was Daniel Goodyear. 14th was Julian Forey with Barry Weston 15th. 16th was Timothy Reed. And yeah, the rest of the field either not classified or retired from the race, and the drivers not classified with Severi Sepa, Lars Olsen, Marco Kella, and Itu Vaiano Kangas.
Back to second place, Oscar Urena, about his fight with Andy T. It took you a while, but you eventually got it done, Oscar.
Yes, indeed, I got it done. I mean, yeah, it's super hard to overtake here, and he made a slight mistake, and I was able to get pretty close. And just first time around, I was maybe a bit too careful, and he got the outside line and got the position. But second time it worked.
Now, after you got by him, we noticed that you were kind of picking away at the lead from Shimon. If you think you had been able to overtake sooner, do you think you could have made it a race for the win?
Yeah, for sure. But this race was decided already in qualifying, because although the qualifying was really close, I got the short end of the stick, as you might say, because I was the slowest out of the really close times, and I was P5. If I got P2, P1, it could have been a different race, but that's racing.
Next week's going to be an interesting track heading to Snetterton, but it's one of the shorter versions, the 200 layout. Do you have any feelings about that one coming up?
I think it's a great track, but I would rather drive the 300 version. But yeah, I mean, it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. A stunning review there from Oscar Irina. Congratulations on a podium, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you next week.
Thanks.
That's Rina, second place finisher. We've got Ryan talking to Andy T, who wound up third in the end.
Yeah, Andy T finishing in third, and Andy, that was an absolutely fantastic battle to watch between you and Ascari. Talk about it from your view, from your perspective.
Yeah, it was great fun. Hi, by the way, you guys are great. So it's horrible in dirty air here. If you're behind a guy on the same pace, you can't really get by without a bit of a mistake. And about halfway through the race, when the car comes alive, I started sliding when I hadn't quite found the right ARB setting. And sliding out of the penultimate corner means he gets a lovely run on me, and I did it twice. So yeah, that wasn't so good. But it was good racing. I think we left plenty of room for each other. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, it took ages for Ascari to try and make a move on you, but it seemed to be every time he was close to you, but he just couldn't get close enough. Was that just the effect of the dirty air?
Dirty air, like through the fast corners, it just understeers. So there's things you can do to counter it, like modify your setup before the race if you think you're going to be stuck behind someone, but otherwise you're just kind of stuffed.
And heading into Snetterton next week, which is it's a 2000 layout that's been used. Are you a fan of that, or would Ascari was saying he would prefer to race on the 300 layout? But how about you?
I don't know the circuit. I just like the way Finnish people say Snetterton.
Good stuff. And lastly, before we let you go, anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
All the Lotus drivers. It's a fantastic community. Everyone should get involved. Join our Discord. We have a right laugh. And sorry to everyone in the race. I was having a right mothers meeting with Oscar over the radio, teasing each other.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again on third place, Andy. And we'll look forward to seeing you on track at Snetterton next week.
Our third place finisher, Andy T. And that's going to close out our interviews for today. We want to give a big thank you, of course, to the Lotus 79 series for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also a thank you to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our music. If you want to check out more of hers, we've got our Bandcamp linked right there. And then thanks to the team today, Ryan, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, we've got a merchandise store linked below, gsrc.storenvy.com, and make sure and subscribe while you're down there. Of course, the next race, as we mentioned, going to be Snetterton. That'll be Sunday, November 22nd, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. And Big C's MX5 Challenge is coming up in just a few moments' time. Make sure and hop over there soon. Until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.